Good evening, Wanderers. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to give another shout out to our newest subscribers. We now have 46 Spotify followers, and while Spotify doesn't provide follower information, please know that I see you and I'm grateful for your support. On YouTube, we also have 37 new subscribers, but keep in mind that I can only see your YouTube name if you've made your subscriptions public. So thank you to 25 of you, plus The Big Moki Show, Randy Hall, Brian Jacobs, Maverick62644, Wendell Alexander, Drake Albert, Vin, Ajacia Smiley, Tor Adathan, Kim Dunn, and Gaming with Teddy. Now, Buzzsprout is the place to subscribe in order to receive extra episodes from Petra's Dark and Dreamy. Thank you to William Tremblay, our longest standing supporter of the show, and William Stevens. And if you'd like to get perks and extra episodes, be sure to check out Buzzsprout and see whether you would like to subscribe to support the podcast. We don't have many subscribers on Buzzsprout, but the good news is that I haven't quite figured out what extras I'd like to do for you guys. Feel free to send me a message to give me some ideas, and know that perks are on the way. Welcome, Wanderers of the Night, to Petra's Dark and Dreamy, where shadows dance and dreams drift through the twilight. I'm Petra, your guide through this realm where the boundaries of reality blur and the mystical becomes tangible. Tonight, we plunge into the depths of the unknown, exploring stories that shimmer in the darkness and ideas that echo through the silence. So find a cozy nook, let the world outside fade away, and prepare to embark on a journey where the night is always young and the dreams are endlessly alluring. Are you ready to embrace the dark and the dreamy? Then let's begin. Hansel and Gretel by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, first edition, published in 1812. Next to a great forest, there lived a poor woodcutter who had come upon such hard times that he could scarcely provide daily bread for his wife and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Finally, he could no longer even manage this, and he did not know where to turn for help. One evening, as he was lying in bed worrying about his problems, his wife said to him, "Listen, man, early tomorrow take the two children, give each of them a little piece of bread, then lead them into the middle of the thickest part of the woods. Make a fire for them and leave them there, for we can no longer feed them." "No, woman," said the man. "I cannot bring myself to abandon my own children to wild animals that would quickly tear them to pieces." "If you don't do it," said the woman, "all of us will starve together." And she gave him no peace until he said yes. The two children were still awake from hunger and heard everything that the mother had said to the father. Gretel thought that she was doomed and began to cry pitifully. But Hansel said, "Be quiet, Gretel, and don't worry. I know what to do." With that, he got up, pulled on his jacket, opened the lower door, and crept outside. The moon was shining brightly, and the white pebbles were glistening like silver coins. Hansel bent over and filled his jacket pockets with them, as many as would fit. Then he went back into the house and said, "Don't worry, Gretel. Sleep well." Then he went back to bed and fell asleep. The next morning, the mother came and woke them both before sunrise. "Get up, you children. We are going into the woods. Here is a little piece of bread. Take care and save it until midday." Gretel put the bread under her apron because Hansel's pockets were full of stones, and they set forth into the woods. After they had walked a little way, Hansel began stopping again and again and looking back toward the house. The father said, "Hansel, why are you stopping and looking back? Pay attention now and keep up with us." "Oh, father, I am looking at my white cat that is sitting on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me." The mother said, "You fool, that isn't your cat. That's the morning sun shining on the chimney." Hansel had not been looking at his cat, but instead had been dropping the shiny pebbles from his pocket onto the path. When they arrived in the middle of the woods, the father said, "You children gather some wood, and I will make a fire so we don't freeze." Hansel and Gretel gathered together some twigs, a pile as high as a small mountain. They set it afire, and when the flames were burning well, the mother said, "Lie down by the fire and sleep. We will go into the woods to cut down trees. Wait until we come back and get you." Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire until midday and then ate their bread. They sat on until evening, but the mother and father did not return, and no one came to get them. When it became dark, Gretel began to cry, but Hansel said, "Wait a little until the moon comes up." After the moon had come up, he took Gretel by the hand. The pebbles were lying there like newly minted coins. Glistening, they showed them the way. They walked throughout the entire night, and as morning was breaking, they arrived at the father's house. The father was overjoyed when he saw his children once more, for he had not wanted to leave them alone. The mother pretended that she too was happy, but secretly she was angry. Not long afterward, there was once again no bread in the house, and one evening Hansel and Gretel heard the mother say to the father, "The children found their way back once, and I let it be. But again, we have only a half loaf of bread in the house. Tomorrow you must take them deeper into the woods, so they cannot find their way home. Otherwise, there will be no help for us." The man was very disheartened, and he thought it would be better to share the last bit with the children, but because he had done it once, he could not say no. Hansel and Gretel heard the parents' conversation. Hansel got up and wanted to gather pebbles once again, but when he came to the door, he found that the mother had locked it. Still, he comforted Gretel and said, "Just go to sleep, Gretel dear. God will help us." Early the next morning, they received their little pieces of bread, even less than the last time. On the way, Hansel crumbled his piece in his pocket, then often stood still and threw crumbs onto the ground. "Why are you always stopping and looking around?" said his father. "Keep walking straight ahead." "Oh, I can see my pigeon sitting on the roof. It wants to say goodbye to me." "You fool," said his mother. "That isn't your pigeon. That's the morning sun shining on the chimney." But Hansel crumbled all of his bread and dropped the crumbs onto the path. The mother took them deeper into the woods than they had ever been in their whole lifetime. There they were told to sleep by a large fire, and that the parents would come and get them in the evening. At midday, Gretel shared her bread with Hansel because he had scattered all of his along the path. Midday passed and evening passed, but no one came to get the poor children. Hansel comforted Gretel and said, "Wait, when the moon comes up, I will be able to see the crumbs of bread that I scattered, and they will show us the way back home." The moon came up, but when Hansel looked for the crumbs, they were gone. The many thousands of birds in the woods had found them and pecked them up. Hansel thought that he would still be able to find the way home, and he and Gretel set forth, but they soon became totally lost in the great wilderness. They walked through the night and the entire next day, and then, exhausted, they fell asleep. They walked another day, but they could not find their way out of the woods. They were terribly hungry, for they had eaten only a few small berries that were growing on the ground. On the third day, they walked until midday, when they came to a little house built entirely from bread, with a roof made of cake, and the windows were made of clear sugar. "Let's sit down and eat our fill," said Hansel. "I'll eat from the roof, and Gretel, you eat from the window. That will be nice and sweet for you." Hansel had already eaten a piece from the roof, and Gretel had eaten a few round window panes, and she had just broken out another one when she heard a gentle voice calling out from inside, "Nibble, nibble, little mouse, who is nibbling at my house?" Hansel and Gretel were so frightened that they dropped what they were holding in their hands, and immediately they saw a little woman, as old as the hills, creeping out the door. She shook her head and said, "Oh, you dear children, where did you come from? Come inside with me, and you will be just fine." She took them by the hand and led them into her house. Then she served them a good meal, pancakes with sugar, apples, and nuts, and made 2 nice beds for them. Hansel and Gretel went to bed thinking it was as though they were in heaven. But the old woman was a wicked witch who was lying in wait there for children. She had built her house of bread in order to lure them to her, and if she captured one, she would kill him, cook him, and eat him. And for her, that was a day to celebrate. So she was overjoyed that Hansel and Gretel had found their way to her. Early the next morning, before they awoke, she got up, went to their beds, and looked at the 2 of them lying there so peacefully. "They will be a good mouthful," she thought. She grabbed Hansel and put him in a little stall, and when he awoke, he found himself in a cage, locked up like a young dog, and he could only walk a few steps. Then she took Gretel and cried, "Get up, lazy bones. Fetch water. Go into the kitchen and cook something to eat. Your brother is locked in that stall there. I want to fatten him up, and when he is fat, I'm going to eat him. For now, you have to feed him." Gretel was frightened and cried, but she had to do what the witch demanded. Now Hansel was given the best things to eat every day so he would get fat, but Gretel received nothing but crayfish shells. Every day the old woman came and said, "Hansel, stick out your finger so I can feel if you are fat enough yet." But Hansel always stuck out a little bone, and she wondered why he didn't get any fatter. After 4 weeks, one evening she said to Gretel, "Hurry up and fetch some water. Whether your brother is fat enough now or not, tomorrow I am going to slaughter him and boil him. In the meantime, I want to start the dough that we will bake to go with him." With a sad heart, Gretel fetched the water in which Hansel was to be boiled. The next morning, Gretel had to get up early, make a fire, and hang up the kettle with water. "Watch it until it boils," said the witch. "I am going to make a fire in the oven and put the bread into it." Gretel stood in the kitchen and cried tears of blood, and thought that it would have been better if wild animals had devoured them in the woods, for then they would at least have died together and would not now be suffering so, and she herself would not have to be boiling the water that would kill her dear brother. And she prayed, "Dear God, save us poor children." Then the old woman called, "Gretel, come here right now to the oven." And when Gretel came, she said, "Look inside and see if the bread is nicely brown and done, for my eyes are weak and I can't see that far. If you can't see that far either, then sit on the board and I'll push you inside. Then you can walk around inside and take a look." But once Gretel was inside, the witch intended to close the door and bake her in the hot oven and eat her as well. That is what the wicked witch was thinking, and that is why she called Gretel. However, God let Gretel know this, so she said, "I don't know how to do that. First show me. You sit on the board and I will push you inside." So the old woman was very stupid, sat on the board, and since she was light, Gretel pushed her all the way inside, then quickly closed the door and secured it with an iron bar. The old woman in the hot oven began to cry and to wail, but Gretel ran away and the old woman burned up miserably. Gretel ran to Hansel and unlocked his door. He jumped out and they kissed each other and were overjoyed. The whole house was filled with precious stones and pearls. They filled their pockets, then ran away and found their way back home. The father rejoiced when he saw them once more, for he had not had a happy day since they had been gone, and now he was a rich man. However, the mother had died. Thank you for joining me tonight on Petra's Dark and Dreamy. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to show your support for the show. If you are one of the first 100 subscribers, you can request your favorite literature read by me, Petra. Also, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube, wherever you happen to watch. See you next time. Keep sleeping soundly. Keep sleeping soundly. Don't let me wake you. It's Petra. I'm stopping by to tell you why I use Buy Me a Coffee to connect with my audience and grow my podcast. As a podcaster, Buy Me a Coffee has been a game changer for me. It's the easiest way for my listeners to support the show directly, whether through one-time donations or monthly memberships. The best part is that I get to keep it simple and focus on creating content. I love it because I can unlock steady income with membership tiers and recurring support. I share exclusive content, behind-the-scenes moments, and early access just for my supporters. And there are no complicated setups or hidden fees for you or for me. For you listeners, you can show your love with a simple click and also get special perks, shout-outs, and bonus content in return. You want to support the show? Click the link in the show notes to support the show. And be sure to tell everyone that you love Petra's Dark and Dreamy.